A very good evening and warm welcome to all our viewers to an instructive discussion. Design solutions for healthcare facilities. Our knowledge partner for today's session is Jaquar, complete bathroom and lighting solutions. Role of artificial intelligence and IoT in hospitals post-COVID. Various design elements for touchless hospitals. Virtual doctors versus real doctors. Let us gain more insight from our eminent panel with rich experience from the design and healthcare industry. Joining us today for this interactive session are Mr. Mohit HAJELA, who is also our moderator for today's session, Mr. Sanjay Batra, Project Director, MEDANTA, Dr. R. Chandrashekhar, former Chief Architect, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Architect Ravindra Kumar, Principal, PRAGRUP, Director, VA Group, Mr. R. Balakrishnan, GM and Head MEP Design, LARSEN and TOUBRO Limited, Architect Ajay Gupta, Executive Director, KGD, a KATERRA Design Partner, Mr. PRITAM V. SARMAH, Head for Government and Institutional Sales, Jaquar Group. I hope we have a very informative session. Before we start the panel discussion, we will play a short AV and thereafter Mohit sir will be taking the lead. Thank you.
Good evening, viewers. On behalf of Jaquar Group and IDAC, I am Mohit HAJELA, your host for the webinar today, titled Sensor and Sensibility, Design Solutions for Healthcare Facilities. And it's my esteemed privilege to welcome all of you. Today's webinar is going to be a session of an hour, wherein we are going to have 2 rounds with each panelist, and thereafter we'll have 1 fireside round. Healthcare industry, comprising of hospitals, medical devices, clinical trials, outsourcing, telemedicine, medical tourism, health insurance, and medical equipment, is growing at a tremendous pace owing to its strengthening coverage, services, and increased expenditure by public as well as private players. The growing incidence of lifestyle diseases, rising demand for affordable healthcare delivery systems due to the increasing healthcare costs, technological advancements, the emergence of telemedicine, rapid health insurance penetration, and government initiatives like e-health, together with tax benefits and incentives, are driving healthcare market in India. Needless to say, as per latest research projections, healthcare industry in India is projected to reach US dollar 372 billion by 2022, and the projected spend over medical infrastructure is expected to reach close to US dollar 200 billion by 2024. The hospital industry in India, accounting for 80% of the total healthcare market, is witnessing a huge investor demand, both from global as well as domestic investors, and is expected to reach US dollar 132 billion by 2023 from 62 billion in 2017. The growth is phenomenal. It's growing at a CAGR of approximately 16 to 17%. While we talk of statistics, COVID-19 has brought changes in our lifestyle and most importantly in our approach to life. The growing paranoia around the world pertaining to touch, acquired infection, airborne infection, public safety in public areas, rules and norms woven around social and physical distancing has all taken alarming proportions. Touch-free solutions, touch-free access controls, and touch-free engagements are gaining traction at various levels of human interface, be it commercial buildings and spaces, lifestyle, entertainment, hospitals, hotels, public utility areas, air, land, or sea transport. On this note, I begin the session today, and joining me is a very illustrious panel of experts coming as Project Director, Medical Architecture Experts and Technical Committee member with Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, prolific architects and healthcare specialists, senior MEP consultant, and an institutional business head from corporate world. To briefly share their experience, it's absolutely a pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Sanjay Batra, a graduate from IIT Delhi in 1969 in mechanical engineer, with 14 years in Goodyear, India as an engineering manager, followed by 16 years with Oberoi Hotel, and the last 15 years with Medanta Hospital as project director, responsible for the construction of Medanta Gurgaon, Lucknow, Patna, and major renovation in Ranchi and Indore. He is also board of member of India Green Building Council, ASHRAE, ISHRAE, and FSAI. His major achievement is in sustainability, reducing energy consumption in hospitals. Our next panelist is Dr. Arjan Shekhar, again a very illustrious expert, chairman IGBC Green Healthcare Rating, has a doctoral degree from BITS Pilani in the field of medical architecture. He is the first PhD holder in the field in India. He is also the recipient of numerous awards such as the Genius Millennium Award 2002 and First Humanitarian Award for Outstanding Contribution to the people of India for his work in improving the state-of-the-art architecture for health in India, awarded by none other than Center for Health System and Design, Texas A&M University, US. He has further contributed, he has co-authored a book titled Modern Trends in Planning and Design Hospitals, Principles and Practice. He is an esteemed member of Technical Committee of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, for setting up 6 AIMS like institution and upgradation of 26 existing medical colleges and 39 medical colleges in phase 2 at different states under Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. It's absolutely a pleasure and honor to have you, sir. Following him is a very senior designer from India, having tremendous work. His body of work is immense. It's a pleasure and honor to welcome architect Ravindra Kumar, who has been a visiting faculty at various departments of architecture, has spent years at UCLA, Cornell, Keene State, Marlborough Russ Rapid Urban Sustainability Training Initiative, Berlin School of Architecture, IACCA, Barcelona, Toronto University, besides having a long stint with Bangalore University, RVC, Anna University, Chennai. Currently, he is the reader and chair for long distance studies program at Educational Praxis, Marlborough University, US. He has keen interest in primary education and secondary education and is the president of TBS Foundation, a school where 400 rural children are benefiting. Ravi has been nominated as the brand ambassador for sustainability initiatives towards green architecture, namely Earth Matters, IAB India, Activism Architecture, Design Quest India, and Indian Institute of Designers. Following him, what an honor, Ravi, a pleasure welcoming you. And following him is Mr. R. Balakrishnan, a very senior person again from LARSEN and TOUBRO, an electrical engineer graduate from Delhi University. He comes with a design experience of 20 years in the field of commercial buildings and airports. He has carried out design in the field of electrical, HVAC, fire public health, ELV systems, IoT for 125 projects. These includes 5 metro airports, average 35 hospitals, including Apollo and AIMS, stadiums, hotels, malls, statues, factories, residential IT parks, exhibition centers, and metro stations, among others. Indeed, a pleasure having you on board, sir.
Thank you.
Then joining us is architect Ajay Gupta. Ajay, again an architect, a designer, serves as director to healthcare and commercial projects at KGD, a KATERRA design partner. He is an alumnus of Illinois Institute of Technology, US. He holds an experience of over 19 years handling large scale of work in India and overseas. His expertise lies in strategy and feasibility planning, creating efficient and productive designs and budget coordination for hospitals. Before KGD, Ajay has worked with international architectural firms like Pinterest, RTKL, and HDR. He is a member of American Institute of Architects and Council of Architecture. What a pleasure having you on board, Ajay. And finally, we have Mr. PRITAM SARMAH, who is the head for government and institutional business for Jaquar Group. And I'm sure PRITAM brings a lot of corporate expertise on board as we begin the session today. Again, a very hearty welcome to all the viewers today who have joined us. And as we begin round one, I would like to bring to center stage Mr. Sanjay Batra from MEDANTA. The first question to you, Mr. Batra, in view of modern day appreciation of healthcare, where do you see the role of touch-free access control at various touch points of patient interface? Mr. Sanjay Batra from MEDANTA.
I'm going to start off with a little different than just going to plain touch-free. At MEDANTA, in the Gurgaon hospital, which is a 1200 bed facility, we get about a footfall in the lobby of about 25,000 people a day, 22 to 25,000 people a day. Now, and then they move up the elevators and they go to the various OPDs, which is located on the 12 floors. So daily OPD consultations are with the doctors is about 3,500. So 3,500 people are visiting the OPD, various floors. There are 12 floors, and they visit. Each floor has 20 doctors of every specialty. One floor is orthopedic, one floor is neuro, one floor is like this. Today, after the COVID, the 3,500 OPD consultations has dropped to 300. People are afraid to come to the hospitals. But when you say touch-free, one aspect of touch-free is that there are video consultations going on, almost 1,500 a day. So that's also part of touch-free. They're sitting at home, having video consultations with the doctors, not coming to the hospital. So that's another version of touch-free. Am I right?
Surely,
Hello?
surely.
Yeah. So 1,500 video consultations with various doctors and whole day through. Now let's come to the physical touch-free, what we want to talk about. We have got, or a lot of places, we've got these sensor-operated doors. You, like all our OTs, all the entry to the OTs, ICUs, they're all sensor-operated. You don't have to touch the door. You just show your card and the door opens. It reads your card and the door opens. So that's another touch-free in these sensitive areas. But if you come to, you start from the parking. The boom barriers are automated. That's touch-free. The vehicle comes there. The vehicle has got a thing in it, which our doctors are coming regularly. There are, the number of cars in the basement is about 4,000, so the basements. And the doctors have got a RFID card. When it comes, the boom barrier opens. That's again touch-free. Then you go up to the elevators. Elevators, unfortunately, we can't make touch-free because there's so much crowd coming. You can't issue cards to so many people. Like I told you, 15 to 20, 25,000 people coming every day. You can't issue cards. Unfortunately, that's not touch-free, but we've got a small plastic film put on the push panel wherever the numbers have to be pressed, and the guards are there. Every time After every half an hour, they wash, they disinfect it, and that's how it goes. So there's nothing we can do with the elevators. So we have 42 elevators in this building. So that's how it's working. Then you come to the urinals. There, of course, touch-free sensor urinals. Wash basins, sensor. Taps are sensor. You put your hand under it, the water starts. Take your hand away, the water stops. Then touch-free hand sanitizer. Every ward, every place is touch-free hand sanitizer. You put your hand, sanitizer comes, and then that's how it is. So this is the extent of touch-free which we can do. But otherwise, of course, employees have got cards which are sensor-based. But for the patients, the only thing what we do is urinals and wash basins are all sensor-based, all touch-free. Anything else? I'm not aware of anything else we are doing touch-free here.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Coming to you, Dr. Chandrasekhar, how technology helps in making healthcare more accessible and affordable? How does it improve patient care through touchless systems?
Since
Over to you, Dr. Chandrasekhar. Yes.
Since I come from this thing, I like to do a small presentation.
Surely, sir.
See, since I represent Government of India, has served for Government of India for such a long time, our greater challenge is the crowd. Just now, Mr. Batra mentioned about 22 to 25,000 for the whole day and 3,000 around OPD. But for us, the crowd management is a big issue. We get around 12 to 15,000 per day only for the OPD. If I just give you a little glimpse, this is how our OPD is. You could see when you are interested in making more, Government of India came up with EOPD. Just now, as he said that his OPD, this thing dropped down to almost 300, we have to reach through telemedicine-based EOPD, and NIC being our government organization or National Informatics Center, it has launched this, but telemedicine is already existing everywhere. And even in the different places, which I told you in the Uttarakhand area where I had already executed, the smaller hospital connected with the AIMS Rishikesh through telemedicine, through which there are variety of problems solved. Even the travel time was reduced. At the same time, during COVID, they don't have to literally worry about, they get the best of the consultation. And it was always attended along with a doctor of that region so that there is no medication error. So this was the one greatest thing which is happening, and it is to keep the maximum crowd away. Only when you have to still come to the hospital due to some reason, we have introduced or launched online appointment where people can, today in the era where everybody has a smartphone and it has a multi-language issue. So on the smartphone, you can book your appointment and you are given a specific time so you don't crowd around unnecessarily. And the telemedicine kiosk has his high definition video conferencing system that allows doctor to discuss symptoms with patient, diagnose condition, prescribe medication, and it has several digital medical devices. And once the online appointment is done, then in that case, we have tried one experiment. We have issued a tab to all the doctors in our AIMS trauma center, where the patient comes, his photographs are taken, and with his putting his ID, all his card. So case of history of the patient is more important. And one more key issue is bad handwriting may give medication error. So we have given the drop menu so that it becomes easy for them to touch those specific medicines, and there is never error. And then some of the other facilities, recently you must have seen one of our, probably in the Bangalore, maybe one of our panelists was a designer or anybody. So this is another digitized version where use of robo in these kind of a thing is also utilized. And in the remote areas, like the other parameters which we can see, pharmaceutical will replace some procedure and will decrease the need of admission to hospital, and newer vaccines will treat as well as prevent disease. Minimal invasive surgery will reduce hospital stay and promote outpatient operation. And robotic surgery is already in place, and sensors will change central laboratories and intensive care units of today. So these are few things like you have a self-service hospital guide, and then you have a mobile point of care, you have a medical computer card where electronic patient records and clinical viewing are possible. Then even you have a mobile clinical assistant and also bedside infotainment where information and entertainment is combined. So with these gadgets, we can help. As far as nursing are concerned, nurse spend 90% working time traveling between nurses station and patient ward. So a highly integrated computerized nursing will always optimize the patient care process and enable mobile point of care. So going mobile at the point of care. This is how we are trying to do even social distancing in village hospital and district hospital, where we are able to control this parameter. I'll just quickly give you a typical ward design which need to be a COVID related, where distancing is to be done. Here you can see it is a 30-bedded ward which is conceived in a way so that all medical college and medical council norms or even super specialty norms all can be fulfilled. One side you can have a male, one side you can have a female. Central area is where all your services are there, because ideally everybody can be accommodated in single room, but in the government we will not be in a position to accommodate all. So this is how we are trying to give, and as an evidence-based design, if you see the detail, each and every bed is going to look outside. They are connected with nature. Nature is a great healer, and the nurse's duty station in the center can control the entire area. Much closer you can see even the central wall which will house all the medical gases and other gadgetries. So this is how this will look, so that in a COVID-19 ward, which is evidence-based, you have an independence at the same time with the manpower requirement. I can control this ward in a much better way. And digital hospital infrastructure is that system and people can communicate with each other to make the hospital more responsive, agile and flexible, and up-to-date information improves responsiveness and eases the information bottleneck that blocks hospital throughput, and two-way communication between nurse and patient reduces unnecessary working by nurse, giving them more time to focus on patient care. One thing I'll tell you, 80% infection takes place through touch surface. Right now, when he mentioned, Batra ji mentioned about the lift, there also nowadays we have started introducing copper. Copper is antimicrobial, it kills the bacteria on its own, and use of such, door handle, grab bar, even the IV fluid stand, we can utilize the copper, which will be more helpful, even the bed rail. So you can have this, even the stethoscope. These are the area where there is going to be a continuous touch. So this is where we are in a position to do so. So these are a few things which we can carry on with it. Thank you.
Surely, sir. I think this was very, very insightful, because we fully appreciate that during COVID times, what is the thrust on the medical infrastructure and particularly the hospitals today. And needless to say, I would agree that responsiveness and agility is absolutely the new mantra, how we are able to respond. Next, would like to draw architect Ravindra Kumar into conversation. Ravindra, how would you enhance patient safety with regard to touchless solutions in the new healthcare centers? Essentially, this relates to patient interaction via technology, automation, facial recognition, and tech for patients and employees, and use of artificial intelligence. So being a prolific architect, how would you like to approach this?
I think
Architect Ravindra.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the invitation. I think there are certain challenges when you look at India specifically. I think the previous presentation clearly sort of defines the kind of challenge that we
Ravindra, can you be a little louder? Sorry, can you be a little louder? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So the kind of challenge that we see today in the country, as the population has problems to understand, reciprocate, and also civic sensibilities are limited in this part of the nation. So therefore, the quality of challenge is very, very different as compared to what you find in other parts of the world. So therefore, application of some systems that would work in other nations will not be applicable completely in the way we look at systems. So we need to sort of reinvent that idea to this country and how we actually participate on a touchless kind of a interface, I would call it. I think AI solutions, artificial intelligence solutions are one of the best methods where people can communicate. There can be health support where people can voice solutions. I think this is one of the most important modes and methods in which we must, invent the possibilities. We have done in some of our projects that we've executed, whether it's BASF or AstraZeneca or Biocon, a couple of laboratories where there are intense kind of experimentation that is done repeatedly over a long period of time. Which means to say that even there are laboratories, BSL-3 laboratories, where people deal with Ebola kind of virus or tuberculosis kind of virus, HIV. So you actually create a whole cubicle where everything is kind of robotics. You literally do not even access some of these rooms, because even to create a threshold door for such facilities costs $1 billion. So our hospitals will have to get equipped. There has to be specialization. You cannot force every hospital to manage and accommodate every kind of sort of an infection and look at solutions. Though some of them might be general hospitals, they will not be equipped or able to manage certain situations. So these have to be specifically evaluated. The government will have to fund and will have to participate publicly to ensure that AI systems and touch-free solutions are proactively, put into experimentation and use. We have a lot to learn, not from just the healthcare sort of innovations and possibilities, but look at, I think lab, innovation labs, intense laboratories, what practices they have incorporated in doing incinerations, in dealing with very complex virus situations, and then reinvent that in our hospitals. I think that's the most important requisite of the day for us to relearn the nature of healthcare. Because I'm not saying that the healthcare has not done its pinch of homework, or hospitals have not grown into that space where they have brought in innovation. But I think we need a paradigm shift. If we do not, bring in that quantum leap, civic sensibilities of people will not be affected. Today you cannot manage people on the street. When there is a curfew, people do not even understand that there has to be a certain amount of essence as how you behave on a traffic space. We do not, we do not understand that. I was talking to this gentleman, a friend of mine in Chile. They bring tanks on the road and they force majeure how a lockdown facility should be done or how distancing should be done. We do not understand that nature of control. We do not understand the nature of reciprocation. So hospitals, I can imagine, they must be going through a humongous volume of challenge. So therefore, AI solutions are very, very important to monitor, penalize, and throw people out when they do not operate.
Surely. Thank you, Ravindra, for such insights. Now, approaching the MEP perspective and coming to Mr. R. Balakrishnan from L&T, so how do you see the roadmap of healthcare infrastructure evolving? A projection of spending $200 billion into building healthcare infrastructure by 2024 is making news. Will India be able to deliver on that? Mr. R. Balakrishnan from L&T.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening to everybody. So it's a wonderful question to ask, the infrastructure part. So basically we have various infrastructures required for an hospital projects. One is the power, water, and the last one which we need to catch up is the data infrastructure, where we are going towards post-COVID. People are focusing towards this, the data cloud-based solutions. And there was a lot of information presented by Mr. Chandrashekar and mentioned by other speakers about telemedicine and hospital management systems is one more thing which is to be looked into. Now, to have all this, we need to have a very good data infrastructure, which is very well happening in metros, but it has to reach to all the areas of India. I think the government is working towards it because during the COVID period, even I have done online consultation for medical purposes. It's working out well, but it's the data which is flowing. It's sometimes slow, and we need to. The patient has to load up more data. That is where the hospital management system is an important tool which needs to be put into all the hospitals, whether it is metros or in rural areas. This is one thing. What this will do is, even from metro, you can service the districts or the village hospitals. The doctors need not be there physically. You can operate with nurses and other things. You can have medical equipments there. Just that information will come to the doctor, and doctor can diagnose and give us prescriptions, and the artificial intelligence can take over and give the prescription in the local language also for the patients to understand. I think this is the infrastructure evolving has to happen. I think COVID time people have realized, the government has realized, I think it will go towards it. Now coming to this 372 billion, planning is happening in the government. You know, the fastest growing sector in our country presently is the hospitals, and the government is expecting 40 million jobs to be created for this 372 billion development. And that's why they got Ayushman Bhava and other things as a protocol to develop hospitals even in villages and districts. And for this, there is a robust digital and IT infrastructure being developed by the government. So this is what we need to leverage and make good analytical platforms for using this big data and the artificial intelligence. Even the diagnostic equipment has to be provided all these hospitals, which are at remote places. I think the government is working towards it. The AIMS is coming up in many parts of the country. Each state is going to have an AIMS, and we are working on the western side, the eastern side, the Assam. All these people are having district-wise hospitals coming in Assam and West Bengal and all these places. So I think the government is working towards this. They'll be able to deliver it. Just that they had a plan of 2022, but I think it'll be pushed to 2024 because of this COVID things. But government is having plan to develop this, and we are all working towards it. And we are also contributing in a small way wherever it is possible from technology point of view, from artificial intelligence sort of view. What will this artificial intelligence do? It can also collect data and do some analysis of the family, the whole family, and give better medications and diagnosis to the patients. I think where we are going to go. I think developed countries are already having this. I think this is where we will also reach.
Surely, sir. I mean, this is indeed very insightful because, and I'm sure audience would be fairly relieved to know that what is the expansion plan right now, and because healthcare definitely as a sector has been definitely needed a very strong thrust, and good to hear that so much of expansion is very much on the plans, and we're very hopeful that we'll be able to see a very, very promising level of healthcare infrastructure development in the country. Thank you so much. Now, bringing to center stage architect Ajay Gupta from KGD. Ajay, how can the current hospitals be revamped with the physical environmental design for positive psychological impact on patients? This is more in relation towards creating an ambience that is calming and soothing, building more positivity and directed towards wellness. I'm sure we all appreciate that, while we talk of physical illness, the kind of a mental trauma that everyone is going through right now in the country. What would be your design considerations when we come to this?
Thank you for that question. I think it's an interesting question. The retrofitting is a different way of looking at it. I would actually even approach it how it's going to move forward. I think that's more appropriate because I think obviously I not comment on the COVID situation so much. It's I think Dr. Chandrasekhar and Mr. Batra have commented much more than I can actually comment on it. But moving forward, there's a clear path of health into critical care, non-critical care first, wellness, illness, philosophy, right? But physically, just distancing those elements, you actually create an ambience which is more human level, right? In the corporate environment of healthcare, it's already been happening that the healthcare has been mimicking hospitality logistics of design. It's not. It's. I mean, in a lighter note, I always call it hotels with medical gases, right? That's how the corporate environment has approached it, and obviously taken the senses in place. How every sense perceives something. Let's say a room, if the colors are right, if it looks like little more warm space around. If there's some acoustic, I know infection control is a big issue, but even if there's some acoustics built into the IP room, and then the constant beeping of the medical machinery, which actually on IV line or something, that creates anxiety, can be toned down. The smell, the natural light outside, if you have a window, I think Dr. Chandrasekhar showed for COVID reason, he showed that the bed has a diagonal window, which is actually commendable. It's a very simple design idea. Okay, look at, you are not alone in the IP. This world outside for you to go back to once you're fixed. So I think the human touch to healthcare is perceived in different ways now and has been actually implemented. I would say segregation of wellness, illness, critical care, non-critical care, the design philosophy, so you feel warm and fuzzy rather than actually feeling, oh, I'm in a white and gray space where something is beeping constantly and smells of maybe chloroform or something. There is some you smell there. I think there's a definitely direction we have all taken for last decade or so, that hospital doesn't need to look and feel like a hospital. And it's a patient. I would say, we only consider sometimes patient, we forget the support which comes with the patient. My wife is sick, I'll go there with her. If my husband is sick, I'll go with my husband. Today, hospitals are taking care of those people also, because that's very critical. If somebody is admitted for a week, 10 days, and I'm sitting with that as a support, I am the person who's judging the hospital, because that person is poorly sick and trying to manage his health. I am judging the hospital constantly, right? Oh, this is not right here, this is not left. So I think to even help people who come with the patients and support them in a, as simple as giving them Wi-Fi in the room because they're working from hospital, because they can't take leave for 10 days. Those things are also coming in place as we see more and more. The anxieties are dropping because we're making hospitals more human level, actually hospitals. More human, not just because it's fancy and like a 5-star hotel. It's just the idea has been actually implemented to start making hospitals look like not hospitals. When I say not hospitals, probably preceding 30 years ago, 40 years ago, hospitals don't look like that. So the human touch to healthcare is already there. I think it's already there. COVID will segregate this. I think COVID will dilute this into zones, which I think Mr. Batra said, and I think Dr. Chandrasekhar said, OPD is an issue, right? I mean, now, why would I want to go to a 12th floor of a hospital? Because now, right? It's tough right now. Why should you have OPD in that building anyhow? Because thought has come in place. Sometimes logistically, it is difficult to segregate the hospital because, the same consultant moves from IP to OP and all those flow of the patient care. But I think there will be a thought driven by segregating where people feel safe to go OPD in like a retail philosophy rather than in a hospital philosophy, which is already happening globally. You have retail OPDs, you can go, I'm in a mall, I can get my at least basics checked from ENT specialist or a general internal medicine specialist rather than going to a big hospital, right? So I think that will help dilute that whole, the phobia of a big, large hospital infection. Now what we are seeing, I think that will help dilute all those things as we move forward. I think that's what my 2 cents to that is right now.
Surely, I think I would agree. Thank you so much. I mean, see, because it invokes a lot of positivity in the mind, and needless to say, I mean, this is a year which is, believe me, dedicated to wellness. So I mean, this year at the onset of Global Wellness Day, we said let's celebrate Wellness Day to be as a year-round phenomena with different level of engagements, because I think this year the prime concern for anyone across the globe is wellness. And surely, I mean, when it comes to positive design considerations aimed towards wellness, I think it has a very strong. It infuses a lot of hope in people. I think the environment makes a lot of impact. What is your approach in driving sensor technology and delivering sensor-led solutions into bathrooms and lighting category, finding relevant spaces into hospital infrastructure development?
Yeah,
Mr. PRITAM Sharma, yeah.
I think very special people on the panel today, and with a lot of insights into everything. And we know at the moment healthcare is of a very eminent position at the moment. When the government of India says like 2.1% of the GDP is going to be spent on healthcare, it means it's pretty serious at the moment. Now, just a little bit about healthcare. Healthcare has really been pushed from 2010, 12, 14 onwards, and India has been somehow ready. I think that Dr. Chandrasekhar was in the forefront of this, where a number of aims came up, number of good facilities came up, and medical colleges came up. And healthcare has traditionally been, in the last decade or so, using a lot of highly specific and technical products, whether it's in wellness, whether it's in lighting, whether it's in ventilation engineering, whether it's in the bathroom. So they have been very specialized and specific about the requirements, and companies have been delivering. So when suddenly the pandemic came about, it was not that India was not ready or the companies in India was not ready. But there was a difference in the sense of approach. Now, most of the sensor technology products, whether it's in lighting or in bathrooms or in any other operations, these were always imported. So, and most of the companies imported this and supplied the same. Jaquar Group per se, if I am being more specific here, had early on decided on a homegrown technology because of two important things. One, Jaquar Group as per se has been involved not only in India but globally. And when we manufacture a product, we have very specific countries with very specific standards as norms for our product range. So early on, we had started our own homegrown technology, and we have been having a certain advantage because the technology was controlled, whether it's a sensor or any other item, whether it's in lighting, whether it's in wellness, technology is controlled. It was done within our premises, and this ultimately gave a logistic as well as a cost advantage to our clients. Now, as soon as the pandemic started, there was a confused search for all this product in sensor technology, or let us say touch-free. So this confused search gave up a lot of companies, went into importing and all that. But then suddenly, the situation is very volatile now. Change is the norm. Suddenly the government of India has come up with country of origin tag and go for local. So all these parameters, we as a group stand as an advantage as we have the homegrown technology and quality standards which are global. So that was our this thing. The second part of your question, that how is it relevant to healthcare? Now, healthcare has very specific standards. We have already talked about it. So there are very specific requirements in healthcare, especially the OTs, where a normal faucet cannot be used, or a normal hot water system cannot be used if it's a large OPD. So early on, we had elbow-operated faucets, which we had a specific range for hospitals, which were, I think, most of the AIMS and PGI, this has been installed, and we have been this thing. But now it has come for a shift. So the same elbow-operated faucet requires to be green. So it has to be a optimum flow of water has to be there, and it has to be stopped automatically. So there is no second touch. So, and then there is new technology that has come in. These are foot-operated faucets, which everything is done on the foot. So for a OPD or even for an entrance at a healthcare facility where you need people to be washing their hands, or is a public toilet, and you don't want to go in for sensor technology because it is slightly of a higher range, then we also have foot-operated machines. Then you go into the lighting part, and nowadays sensor has been very eminent in lighting technology, because these are areas where wastage, consumption of electricity, everything can be curtailed and contained. So we have the required technology, and Jaquar has been forefront of whether it's environment change, or as of today's norm, whether it is of touch-free solutions. We have been there at the moment. And I think most of the healthcare facilities in India vouch for us and make us the standards and make us the benchmark for this standard. Thanks.
Surely, can't agree more. I mean, one of the most trusted brands, homegrown brands into 51 countries and growing, needless to say. Thank you so much for your insights, Mr. Pritam. With this, we come back, we come down to the end of round one, and very, very interesting discussions ongoing with all our all senior panelists with us. And as we begin the round two, I would like to bring to center stage Mr. Sanjay Batra again. Sir, we understand that Medanta is contributing to inclusive growth into hospital infrastructure in India. Can tier 2 and tier 3 cities be equally beneficiaries of best healthcare facilities? We talk of inclusivity big time. And when it comes to Medanta, yes, as a private player, its contribution is immense and growing. How can we look at what focus does Medanta has towards nurturing or expanding its base into tier 2 and tier 3 cities? Mr. Batra.
Yeah. Medanta in Gurgaon was made to a very high world-class standard. We, as a team, went to see the Mayo Clinic, we went to see the Cleveland Clinic. We tried to pick up the best ideas from overseas. We got foreign consultants, we got foreign architects, hospital planners from overseas to design the hospital. So I'm not saying that the Indian hospital planners or architects are, any inferior, but here we got them in because first time we were building something, we wanted to make it completely world-class, and the space planning, the way that things move around, each area interacting with the other area, it was designed with a certain very good fundamentals and philosophy. So having built this, we said, all right, let's go down to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That's what the thing is. So after this, we built a commissioned hospital in Lucknow, which is a 1,000-bed facility, which is a tier 2 city, and it's same standard as Gurgaon. Then we went down to tier 3. There was a hospital in Ganganagar which we took over, and we renovated it to make it as good as it cannot be. The layout was already there, but we modified everything, got in new kinds of OTs, which we have in Gurgaon. Incidentally, in Gurgaon, we have 42 OTs, and each OT is 700 square feet. Normal OTs in any hospital is 400 square feet. So this is 700 and 750 square feet is in each OT. This is a different thing. It's got outside, you got windows and blinds, which is getting natural light and all kinds of things. Okay, so then we did Ganganagar. We revamped the whole hospital. That's tier 3. Then we did Ranchi. Ranchi again was a terrible hospital. I've never seen such a bad hospital in my life. But it took us about 6 to 8 months to get that hospital back in shape. Today, if you go there, it's a different feel. I mean, it was so bad. The toilets, the urinals, the kitchen, everything was in a big mess. Today, you go there, so we have upgraded that whole hospital. We have spent some, I think, 30, 40 crores of our money to upgrade that hospital. Then Indore was connected to a shopping center, more focus on shopping than hospital. Again, we revamped the hospital, and again, it's become a very good hospital today. So, then in a place called Nalanda, which is very close to Patna, and we put in 2 diagnostic centers there. Again, that's a tier 3. MRI, CT centers were equipped because there was a over there, and people had to travel all the way to get a CT done, get an MRI done. So we put in 2 very state-of-the-art modern centers for CT and MRI. We've opened separate OPDs in Lucknow, in the city. So we've done this kind of work to try and, all the Delhi airport has got all Medanta medical centers. 15 to 20 beds are there in the Terminal 3. Anybody comes, so there's nurses there, there are doctors there. Again, it's pretty world class. You go any airport outside and you go here, it's the same. So we have done tier 2, tier 3 as much as we can with our whatever resources we had. So that's how we are supporting the medical infrastructure in the country. Okay.
Surely, sir. Thank you. I mean, needless to say, I mean, the contribution of Medanta and so many private hospitals trying to shoulder responsibility with the government, I think it's very, very inspiring. And I'm sure audience would be happy to know the kind of an outreach that Medanta is trying to make into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. I'm sure inclusivity definitely matters, sir. And thank you so much for your insights. Now I would like to get Dr. Arjan Shekhar back. Dr. I mean, there's a very strong understanding. It says virtual doctors versus real doctors. How will this space emerge post-COVID? Now, this is a discussion going on big time when we are trying to understand and debate the role of virtual doctors vis-a-vis real doctors. How is this space emerging? Dr. Chandrasekhar.
Thank you. Here again, I would like to share some little video. Here, just now I had already explained to you the use of telemedicine, and those are the virtual doctor. Now I'll take you to the medical education field also. How this, I'll show you a video. Just one second. Now here you can see how a postgraduate level student. It is an orthopedic class where they are able to show you a particular case in the tab where the virtual things are loaded, where they want to focus the area. They try to take and focus it, and remaining data, they knock it off so that you are able to show them the very precise thing what they are looking for. And they also focus it and try to connect that with the CT or MRI which is loaded on that, and try to educate, then take a virtual knife and try to slice it and take these parameters. These are all on telemedicine network. where a senior professional or a doctor can teach other junior kind of other distant related or other areas. So this is how I would say that digital technology is one of the key area. So when you see today, my issue is I need experts, but they are in short supply. I can keep on creating number of aims, but where will I get some faculty from? So I have to do the networking in which I have to take the consultation of others. And this is how the networking and also the importance of the particularly, consultation, whether it is in the any form, this will be the virtual. I will say that today, virtual classroom, virtual this thing, everything has become virtual, and that is the future. That's what I would like to submit.
Surely, sir. Thank you so much. Getting architect Ravindra Kumar back to center stage. Ravindra, what would be future of design when it comes to new age hospitals, balancing the functional spaces that does not hamper the routine hospital functioning while managing thrust of patients like typically COVID-like situation? And then further, what are the immediate measures to be adopted by existing functioning hospitals? Ravindra.
COVID-19 is the pandemic. This is an unusual sort of space that we are right now walking through. Hopefully it'll be short-lived and we'll figure out solutions for that. It's not something that becomes a new norm. Social distancing is inaccurate. We must only look at physical distancing at this point of time. My understanding is that specialization, a programmatic direction for making hospitals will emerge out of the present situation, which means to say that there will be a lot of specialization, qualitative specialization that will bring about making hospitals very specific to the need-based kind of reciprocation rather than, general medication or, operate for a larger volume of people. So that would be the game changer. Having said that, I think we still have to look at a lot of passive systems. Technology definitely will support the nature of how treatment can be looked upon patients. You might even find eventually a solution where the doctors need not even facility in the outskirts of Bangalore. It's robotics where you actually manufacture cornea, and there are only 5 people in a campus which is almost 2.5 lakh square feet. Everything is robotics. So there is a whole way of doing that. When I talk about manufacturing facility today, already medication has come into such perspective where you do not have to touch the patient, and there are ways that you can, manage to operate. Having said that, I do not believe in changing the nature of our interaction. It is important that people have to meet. It's important that architects have to sit in offices and work. We have to be a group. We have to gather. We cannot be in a virtual classroom. You cannot tell a kid who is 3-year-old, 4-year-old that he has to start working on an iPad and not a pencil and not a charcoal, not a piece of pen. I mean, that is going to, completely destroy the human intellect. It's going to destroy the creative impetus of reciprocation. I do not think we must envisage a direction of that kind. But we have to, sort of internalize, be intrinsic to the nature of change and bring about a process and programmatic difference. Like when we built over the last couple of weeks, when we had a lockdown, I took the lead and we built a hospital for Wipro in Pune, which was built in 9 weeks. We did better. We did much better than these architects and build managers. The question is, how do we look at the direction? What is the qualitative aspect of what we must deliver? It's the most important technology which needs a game changer. We need to look at engineering services that needs to become a game changer to create what we can do. And architects have to think with a different hat rather than just look at aesthetics and the reason of design. And we must only encourage a direction where there is human touch, there is human interaction and human occupation of coming together.
I can't agree more. I think the situation, Ravi, has forced a lot of lateral thinking, and and needless to say, I mean, for designers as well, how they reimagine healthcare. I think that's going to be of a lot of consequence. Now, trying to get Mr. Balakrishnan back to center stage. So, what are the factors to improve indoor air quality? Again, taking it from what Ravi just mentioned, would like
Yeah.
to say that, what are your considerations, to improve indoor air quality, to improve environments, keeping wellness into consideration, and most importantly, what considerations are important to help reduce hospital-acquired infection? I mean, there is a very, very pronounced scare with people around
Yeah.
hovering around hospital-acquired infection. How do we approach this,
Yeah.
Mr.
I think,
Balakrishnan?
yeah, that's a good point we raised. Basically, indoor air quality in an hospital is very important. But as Mr. Ravindra Kumar pointed out, there's a lot of efforts to be put on engineering side to get it right. There are good codes, as Shrey has defined their changes in code number 62.1, what should be the changes in the different departments. But the fact is, are we doing it right? That's the question, big question mark in hospitals. And there is a survey done, and there are 1.4 million people being affected by hospital-acquired infections. That's a huge number. That people who don't have a disease acquire this disease by moving inside the hospital. And from that point of view, indoor air quality is very, very important. How you manage the indoor air quality? The four factors is the patients, the staff, the building itself, how it is designed and built, and of course the outdoor environment around the hospital, how it is. Now all these factors have to be considered to make the indoor air quality better. Now from patients, what all could come? There could be infections, viruses, and other diseases, which is going to come out. And this air conditioning mode or the ventilation mode is going to carry all these things which will affect others and making the hospital actually having not good indoor air quality. So there should be a good hygiene protocol in the hospital. Okay, and now COVID, post-COVID, I think everybody has got into the mind of hygiene protocol. I think that is one important aspect to be taken into an hospital design. Now, how this indoor air quality can be improved is the way we do the design of air conditioning. See, we normally in many of the buildings, we don't take the return air, but now through a duct, we leave it open above the false ceiling, which is not a right way to do it. I think we need to change the way we look at it. Hospital has to be zoned into a containment zone or a medium containment and no containment, and the design has to be carried out as per the zones, so that the return air duct for that is different. It doesn't get mixed with other areas. This will improve the indoor air quality. There are a lot of mechanisms which has come, like there is a nickel foam system, which when heated up to 200 degrees centigrade, even kills the COVID. This sort of filtration system has to be introduced into the supply and return air duct. When we take the fresh air, again, outside contamination should not come into the inside place. So we have to examine the environmental conditions and put filtrations accordingly, and then let in the fresh air, which is a requirement for air conditioning. Another important aspect is the humidity, which has to be maintained properly, because humidity can increase the infectious rate very severely. So there are some more things which has come into the market, like the negative air machine, which clears the contamination. Once it passes through it, the air is passed through it, it gets through almost a normal air, system into the area. So these are mechanisms we have to build into our design and take care of design along with the architect to have these provisions done. That is the only way a hospital can stop hospital-acquired infections. Even the staff, they get affected. That should not happen. So that's the only way we need to get it in.
Surely, sir. I mean, needless to say, air conditioning plays a very important role, and when it comes to indoor air quality, the concerns are definitely high. And thank you so much. And finally, I like to bring architect Ajay Gupta back. Ajay, what will be the role of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things in hospitals post-COVID?
I think before I answer that, Mohit, I would actually want to echo what Ravindra said. I actually just comment what he said. I don't think we're going to become virtual generally in life. I think we'll be what we are, and we are human, and we'll do what we have to do. The thing is, we will do it for a purpose. It will be more defined by what we do, but we will be actually human about it. We'll move around with each other. We'll gather a design, gather a diagnose. I know the virtual telemedicine will help, and it is helping right now, but we will still actually gather there. When you said Internet of Things and AI, again, I think the real role of that will be to also create, and I think it's been already discussed by one of the panelists, create and manage and analyze data. Because what we are happening is, as I was mentioning one time, in Malaysia, the government of Malaysia is actually creating a database for all the patients in different zones. So they even have the understanding of what zones have what kind of disease focus. All that will actually happen more and more. The only problem with this Internet of Things or AI, when you collect data, it can be misused. So I think a way to draw a line between privacy and non-intrusive into the privacy will be data collection and processing will help us people moving forward in managing it. Like if we had data for a city about where the COVID situation could be micromanaged by district zones very, very easily if that data already existed. So I think it will be a data-driven technology growth, which will help us increase the management of any pandemic epidemic moving forward. Even general disease management, which we already have on day-to-day scenarios. But I'm scared that how does that draw line between intrusive into the privacy of people and not? I think that will be a question to be answered in the future. But I think there is going to be a full data-driven healthcare systems moving forward. And because it's the first time, I don't cater for myself. I have money to take care of me, but that is not enough anymore. I need to have money to take care of my neighbors, my neighbors, neighbors, my neighbors, 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 neighbors. You know, as that feeling has come into place. It's not my health anymore.
Right.
It's everybody's health, which actually impacts my health. That's the bigger thing happening right now, and that will actually change a lot of things as we move.
Yes, how you become more responsible and try to look at overview with taking care of community at large. I think that's very important. And maybe even if it's just restricted to immediate community, even everybody starts caring for their own immediate communities. I think, believe me, it will have a lot of impact.
Yeah, if everybody saves their village, everybody saved them. No? So I think it's the boundary we draw, but beyond us now. We were thinking, I will take care of me. It's not enough anymore.
Absolutely. Can't agree more with you. Thank you so much, Ajay. And with this, viewers, we come down to the end of round 2. And our last section now is a quick fireside round in which we'll just have one quick, because we have paucity of time right now. So we'll go with one quick question each, one question, and would like all the panelists to please give their valued inputs. I'd like to get to Mr. Sanjay Batra first. Sir, where do you find, I mean, if in one single line I say, how would you like to reimagine healthcare in India? What would be your thoughts? Mr. Sanjay Batra.
The healthcare in India is today limited to tier 1 cities, basically. Very little healthcare is available. You go down into the interiors, whatever clinics, etc., they're in a terrible situation. What I would like to imagine and see in India, the healthcare, at least up to tier 3, they should have some semblance of decent hospitals with some basic facility. I would like to see India in that fashion, that people don't have to travel from villages right up to cities to just get them checked up. So they should have some. Government is doing a lot, but it's not up to the standard. There are not enough doctors. That's another problem. They don't have equipment. That's another problem. For small tests, they have to travel 500 kilometers. This is. I would like to see India in that fashion, that people are, they get the facility where they are. Not, they don't have to go very far.
Surely, sir. So well said. Thank you so much. Immediately would like to get Dr. Chandrasekhar. Dr. Chandrasekhar, your views on how do you reimagine healthcare in India?
See, we have to be very clear. That is, for infection control, the high air changes which we always expect, and in the controlled environment, you know, in the villages or in the smaller town, a well cross-ventilated never had any kind of an infection problem. Now what we have created an enclosed environment, so strong infection control through indoor air quality, where we have to not only filter, trap and kill. You have to kill the pathogen at the filtration level itself. Otherwise, it will be a colony of pathogen in the filtration bank. So trap and kill technology is the need of the hour. And as even Mr. Batra said, extensive telemedicine network is the need of the hour, because we have a shortage of human resources and the challenges are more. So here it is a combined work of networking. You know, you have to have a good infrastructure also. Otherwise, I may be talking and you may not be able to listen. So that kind of a communication gap should not be there. So these are the few things, if it is done, because government is already doing in variety of places and number of area, but this will be the strength.
Thank you, sir. Surely my friends from the air conditioning industry are listening. And also when it comes to telemedicine, definitely this is one segment that is gaining traction. Quickly, I'd like to come to my friend Ravi. Ravi, your inputs, how would you like to reimagine healthcare in India as a designer, as a very prolific designer involved into designing so many hospitals? Ravi.
I think the need is to look at a paradigm shift. We as a country, India, must try and go back to our history, go back to our tradition to understand and learn passivity, you know, passive methods of how we can research method in which we reciprocate to everything. 2030 or 2035, we're going to see at least 85 to 88% of the population of this 1.3 billion living in cities. And cities are going to become the biggest challenge parameters for us to resolve. So we have to look at non-automated, passive methods of how we can re-emerge through vernacular, traditional methods of thinking in a new space with a new hat. I think that would be the way
Thank you so much, Ravi. I'll try to quickly get Mr. R. Balakrishnan. Mr. Balakrishnan, your views on reimagining healthcare sector.
Yeah, what I would like to reimagine is whatever Apollo gives treatment, I should be able to get it from the district hospital. Okay, that's the way we should look at, and we should have it in our country.
Surely, sir. I think the way the efforts that you are doing, what Arjan Shekhar is doing, and the kind of we are looking at US dollar 200 billion and completion, the expansion of healthcare by 2024. Definitely, I mean, this definitely is a pipe dream of every Indian. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And quickly, Ajay, to you, Ajay, how would you like to? What are your inputs on reimagining?
I would agree to Dr. Chandrasekhar and Ravindra that I think we need to go back to what we are supposed to do. Right now, we are seeing the problems we have created, actually. So I don't think we need to do that anymore. We have a good way of designing buildings. We just lost that in the game of last 3 decades, I think so. So I would say this pandemic has helped us to rethink and use a very simple thing. Do not use SOPs anymore. Use common sense. I think common sense is the prevailing design philosophy, I would say. If you can use common sense, things will pan out right. And that's the only thing I can say.
Surely, can't agree more. Thank you so much. Design which is contextual, design which is relevant, and how we are able to revisit our old basics. I think that's going to pave the way. And quickly, we are just running out of time. Quickly, I'd like to get Pritam, your inputs on how we can reimagine healthcare. Pritam.
See, this is not going to be the last outbreak, and this has not been the first. So this, I think, way forward is to be battle ready, not only in terms of infra. I think the major problem we have faced in this last few months is not only of infra, we have enough of infra as of now in the cities, but the healthcare professionals. I mean, we're running out of them. They're in short supply. So health education also has to come in very, very seriously. And then our research. I think that research has taken a backseat in the last few decades, and we have been trying to outsource our research from outside. So it is inbuilt. We have to do it homegrown. So that's, I think, we have to be battle ready in every sense of the term.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you all panelists. I mean, for your such apt response to the fireside question. With this, viewers, we come down to the end of our the fireside round 1, round 2. I'm sure you all enjoyed the valued inputs we got from all our such accredited panelists on board, and I'm sure the kind of inputs, the kind of feedback we have received from them, we definitely feel that when it comes to healthcare infrastructure, we are looking out, say, by 2024, 372 billion. Definitely, this is a pipe dream. Very assuring inputs we got from Dr. Arjan Shekhar, we got from Mr. Sanjay Batra, we got from architect Ravindra Kumar and Mr. Balakrishnan about how we are able to integrate, what are the issues around indoor air quality, the challenges that we face at hospital infrastructure level, the integration of inputs, technology, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. Needless to say, I mean, there's much happening around the sector, and I'm sure India is looking forward to a lot of expansion. Till then, and I'm sure all the doctors are doing phenomenal job. The entire infrastructure is under pressure, but needless to say, every professional, every stakeholder into this industry are trying to put their best. So let us all be very hopeful for a very bright future of healthcare infrastructure in the country. And till we meet again, please stay safe, take care of yourself and your families. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful session engaging with all our such senior and accredited panelists today. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Mr. Batra. Thank you.
Thank you to our eminent panels for the great insight. A special thanks to our knowledge partner, Jaquar, and a special thanks for all our audience that have shown support and tuned in this evening. Thank you, stay safe, and gear up for the new normal.